I'd like to call to order the January 22nd Legal Legislative Committee. I'd like for us to stand and have a moment of silence. Mr. K. Wood, one of our former commissioners that passed, and we'll have the pledge to the flag led by Madam Blake. Lord, we thank you for a life well lived. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice. We want to welcome our committee members, Commissioner Chairman Emeritus Louis Alford, Mike Hughes, Cindy Slater, and Mylan Blake. The mayor's not here. We also want to acknowledge our individuals that join meetings like this that really make it happen. Our county attorney, Crystal Freiberg. We're thankful to have our administrative assistant with us, Lori Moultrie, and the administrative assistant to the mayor, Mr. Lewis. Welcoming to those individuals, let's look at the minutes, please. We want to look at the August 11th minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Been moved by Commissioner Blake, seconded by Commissioner Alford. Discussion? Shall we call the roll? Or all unanimous? We just all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. We have a one-item agenda that we've been looking forward to working with for several months now. We've scheduled several meetings, and as we scheduled them for multiple reasons, they have been passed to another date, and the weather has moved. I don't know about you, but I've had cabin fever. I'm glad to get out even if it's cold. Our item of business is looking at the election office and determining what our role is in the function of this office. We've attempted to schedule this meeting, but we've been unable to do that. The reason I got into this was a question of accountability in this room. Who's accountable? And I first thought it was us and me individually, as well as members around this table. But as we have looked to the details of this, we have some information I want to share with you today. And I'd like for our county attorney to take the floor at this point and share with us what our role is according to the legislative process. Thank you.
Okay, so TCA 212-201 is what governs the operation of the local election commission office. It states that the commission, and when it talks about the commission, that's defined earlier in the statute, it's talking about the local appointed election commission, are responsible for appointing the administrator of elections, who shall be the chief administrative officer of the commission and who shall be responsible for the daily operations of the office and execution of all elections. So once the administrator is established, then the duties of the administrator of elections are set forth in the statute, and that is where all of the administrative role comes from. So the commission, the local election commission, appoints the administrator, and then the administrator is responsible for, and I won't read them all because there are 17 listed duties, which are broad in nature, but of course include preparing the budget, employing office personnel. So basically everything you would do to run an office is included in those 17 areas that the election administrator, once appointed, is responsible for. So this body, in my opinion at least, has no ability to control who is appointed as the election administrator, as that role is the local election commission.
does that move over as well to the operation of the election commission? It's still a committee? It's still up to that commission to
Yes.
do that according
yeah.
to the regulations?
Yes.
Okay, let me open the floor to any discussion members would like to have regarding Commissioner Alford.
Basically, listening to Ms. Freiberg, that we don't have a whole lot of control in it, I would like to make a motion that we just package all this material up with a note that it came from this committee and send it to the appropriate state representatives and also the election.
Have a motion by Commissioner Alford, seconded by Commissioner Hughes, that we take all, and we take all the information that we have, all the concerns that we have, to move that to the election commission, particularly to the administrator
And also to the state.
and to the state as well. We have been doing our due diligence. I think we have a motion and a second discussion. Yeah. No. Yeah, move these concerns.
Yes, that is
Are
correct. And I
doing-
did want to also clarify that you all do, the one role you do have, of course, is funding the election commission office. So that is within your purview, and obviously you all do that every year in the budget process. So that is the one role that you do play.
But in that process, we do not set the salary of the director. We don't set salaries. We deal with general budget.
Yes,
by law.
administrator of election salary is set by statute, just like the mayor and the sheriff and all the other elected officials. So we have to pay her. So it would actually be an audit finding if we did not pay the election administrator the legally mandated amount.
Commissioner Slater.
Commissioner Offer, when you talk about packaging up everything and sending it, are you talking about also the complaints that we've received, every communication that we've received? And okay, thank you.
For
Pertaining to this issue.
yeah, Commissioner Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, just for a quick question, is there any way that we could get a notification from them on what their findings was once they review these documents?
Oh,
I'm
yes,
sure they
yes.
don't.
I think that would be.
I realize they don't have to, but I'm just asking.
That
if
would be
that's
really
something we could
appropriate to share.
request.
To answer your question, Commissioner, every incident, request, concern is on this right now. What we've got. So this will be moved. This communication would be moved to the Election Commission office and ask for them to review what's on here and also move forward with their disposition of this situation. We have been as accountable and as transparent as I know we can be in this, and shared from here as well as every other positions dialogue in this. But we are not the body to be reviewing this as we're hearing today. We have a motion on the floor. Other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Everybody? It's unanimous. So as today, this will move forward to the office. I guess we'd send this to the chairman of that commission, who is an excellent individual, Travis Henry, and it will go directly to him. As chairman of this committee, I've communicated with Mr. Henry, and he's eager to get into this, and it will be moved to the election commission. Are there other business you'd like to bring up or other discussion? Sure. Yes, sir. Commissioner Alford.
If you look at the minutes, the last paragraph or last two paragraphs in our last meeting, I suggest the committee consider an amendment to the commission rules and procedures to limit to 3 minutes time a commissioner may speak about a non-governmental related item during their communication district.
Okay, you want that on the floor to discuss?
Yes.
Okay.
Throwing it out there
Okay.
for discussion.
Okay.
Ms. Bradford, is there anything against anything like that you're aware of?
No. there were two things that were on the agenda last time that you all asked me to look at. That was the first one. So yes, we can certainly amend our procedures to limit it how we would see fit. We cannot limit a commissioner's ability, though, to speak on things that are on the agenda, or obviously we'd have to follow our rules with regard to that, and you can call for the question and do those things, but a commissioner can speak freely and quite frankly, as long as the body allows on subjects that are on the agenda. But yes, I do think that you could legally have rules or adopt rules that talk about commissioners speaking about non-government related items, as you've said. And then the other one, Commissioner Blake had asked if you could limit communication from the audience items to agenda items. And the answer to that is you could. The fairly recent changes to the law on really expanding, though, allowing, my understanding of the reasons for the change were that they wanted to allow more public comment. But in that, it does say a governing body must reserve a period of public comment to provide the public with the opportunity to comment on matters that are germane to the agenda items. So we certainly could have limit the topics that they discuss to agenda items. And so, but that would all have to be done in our rules of procedure. And they also talk about how you can have reasonable restrictions about length of discussion, which we already have, where we limit public comment to a certain period of time. So that can be done. So the answer to both of those questions is yes, it could be. The answer to those questions is also both, though, that we would need to change our rules of procedure if we were going to do either one of those things.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the rules of procedure say that it's the chairman's prerogative to cut off. If a member goes too long, the chairman can say, thank you for your presentation, now move on to the next. Has that been part of procedures or not?
Yeah, I mean, under our procedures as they currently sit, our chairman definitely has a lot of discretion and authority to control the flow of the meeting. So
right.
Certainly, yes, Commissioner Cry would have the ability in the meeting to control comments of that nature. But there's not a specific time that he's following.
Right, not a set of time. Okay. Okay. Commissioner Slater.
So I just want to check for understanding. So hypothetically, if we'll say Commissioner Blake, wanted to speak about dog races that are going to go on in the 3rd district, he can only speak about the dog races for 3 minutes? Is that what we're saying? No, that doesn't have anything, this doesn't say anything about an agenda when we're talking about limiting to 3 minutes time a commissioner may speak about non-government related items during their committee and district reports. So if it
Probably be part of the his district committee report or his district.
which we're saying he could only speak 3 minutes about. So I'm not in favor of that.
Does this include committee reports?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, committee.
It is committee reports. That's
only
why I'm
committee
asking for the
reports.
Yeah,
clarification.
we're talking about individual. In other words, during our district
Correct.
committee, district
Yep.
reports.
Correct. So Commissioner Blake could not speak for more than 3 minutes about the dog races in the 3rd district.
Yeah, well, that's part of his district report.
But it's limited to 3 minutes. I can't support that, just limiting that to 3 minutes.
Other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sorry.
I do have a question. Who determines whether it is about the government and or whatever we're doing, and who determines it's not? Because I could be talking about the landfill in my district, which definitely affects, to me, it's governmental.
Mhm.
But who would be the one to judge, make that judgment? Is that something the chairman would judge, or is that?
To me, I think it would be the chairman's role, but by doing this, you're taking that roll away from the chairman for this one. I wonder if it'd be the rest. So it's, I think that's the difference of this recommendation with what we have going at this point. Chairman Cry at this point has that discretion to move to as long as the person would need to speak. I think, from my opinion, I'll sit over here. I guess I go move away from the gavel here. I think there's a point in time where if somebody is going so long that a member could say, point of order, could we move forward? And the chairman could move that. I think the point's well taken because sometimes we get a little, speaking to myself, you get a little wordy and you say a little more than you want to say. But it kind of takes away from the chairman to be able to do that if we say it's 3 minutes and then you got to say, well, okay, you have 3 minutes. But since this is very important to us, you have another 3 minutes or you have another 3 minutes. Maybe we just should look at whether the chair at this point would share with everybody in the next meetings that we need to be cognizant of the time that we're spending, and we need to be protecting the time for other matters if we're presenting long reports. And so it's whether it's in chairman or whether it lies in the procedures. That's my point. Any other discussion? Yes.
It's just a suggestion. I wanted to throw it out there and talk about it, but we do have a problem, I think, with sometimes we get carried away with our district reports. That's where I think you hit the nail on the head if the chairman would take control of that situation when they're talking, just sitting there talking about 10 things other than commission business.
Right.
That's why I want to throw it out for discussion.
So maybe this would be just an internal recommendation that we look at that through the chair, and then monitor this, and we need to do it at a later point. Then we could look at the timing. I know I thought it was Knoxville or one of the districts up there that does have a time limit. And the time limit is a little more gracious than 3, I think. I think it may be 8 minutes to 10 minutes. But that's always something this committee could do, looking at the procedures that we are responsible for, the policies and procedures, and build that in, particularly if it's been misused. It is tough for chair when somebody's very animate about their concerns to just shut them down. But there are times for the whole commission to move forward and other things. So I think by the chair sitting here at this point, he can take a look at this in the future and work toward it. Thanks for that. Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, we have brought it up about the 3 minutes. What we could do is let the chair, with his own discretion, of course, basically try, just not a rule, but okay, we've got 3 minutes, and then let's move on to the next.
5 or 7, or yeah.
An unspoken rule to say.
Yeah. That's what our rules say now.
Yeah.
And I would agree as long as that's consistent
Yes,
for everyone.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, good discussion. Anything else? No. Mr. Blake?
Sorry. I just wanted to know, because, we all chair our own respective committees, and I hadn't had a problem with it in finance, because usually there's thousands of people here. But I just want to know if that was a possibility after the law was passed up in Nashville, that it has to be an agenda item that's been published that the member or the citizen wants to speak about. In other words, in finance, they want to talk about potholes, whatever. That's not on the agenda item. That would be something for the full commission or whatever. I was just wondering if that was a possibility, and it sounds like if we chose to make that a policy, it's available to us. I haven't had a problem with it in finance so far, so I don't know if it's an issue or not, but I just wanted to know if we had the possibility, or if they were allowed to speak on anything they want, kind of like how we do with the full commission.
Right.
So
Good point.
now we know that we can if we choose to do it, but right now I don't, not ready to make a motion to
Right.
put that in as a policy.
It's brings a bigger question here. The chair is required in any meeting to recognize and allow 5 minutes to anyone wishing to speak.
And the question is when you,
where-
you
where
have
is
to
it?
recognize
Yeah.
them. But like I said, in finance, if they want to talk about anything other than what's on the
Or-
agenda, I
yeah.
can say,
Just
ma'am,
use-
sir, that's not on the agenda.
Right. Get you.
You know,
Yeah, and
You're
I
just
guess
good.
that's the question, legal question, is
but we
this,
haven't had a problem with it.
No,
I haven't in
no.
finance. Commissioner Slater runs elections, law enforcement. I'm
I don't
sorry,
run
education.
elections.
Education.
education,
Sorry.
law enforcement?
Raise your right hand, repeat after me, I'll make you.
Commissioner
So
Slater.
are you talking about just in committees?
That,
You're not talking about in full commission
correct,
meetings?
I mean,
Just in committee meetings?
right.
Education, law enforcement?
Right, and when the law came out, I didn't know if we're going to have. We all sit on finance. I hadn't had a problem. I don't know if education's had it, law, whatever. So it hasn't been an issue. So I don't really see that we need to make a rule right now that they use committee meetings. I think in finance we had Mr. Elmer come one time and he was very short and piffy. So other than that, I don't see a problem.
Just to take for future reference.
Yeah.
Good
So now we
point.
know we can if we need to, but I'm not prepared to move forward with it.
Okay, any further discussion, comments, things we need to move forward with? Chairman Cry, thank you for being with us today. You might, would like some comment, you'd like to share some comments with us?
I'm never shy about running my mouth, but I think I tend to agree with Commissioner Slater. The more sunshine you put on something, the greener it gets. And if you've got a perfectly good running engine, why in the world do you want to tinker with it and mess it up? Our committees, I don't know of any committee that we have that's had an issue with someone bouncing in and just talking. I think, as Commissioner Blake said, we need to be aware of it. If it is a problem, then we can do something about it. I am not bashful about cutting someone off. I can assure you I'm capable of it. But that's my few words. Thank you. And I think those of you that's been around me since 2014 are aware that I'm not shy about talking and cutting someone off. But I tend to agree that why prohibit speech when we don't need to?
So we come to the point in the meeting that we can have speech if we'd like from the audience. Communication from the audience. Anyone like to speak? Come before the audience. Wait, Dan.
Well, I appreciate that you actually looked at this, but I also recognize, and we recognize from the very beginning, you had no oversight really there. The oversight comes from our state representatives, and so if the ball's been dropped, these state representatives have been presented with a sufficient amount of information, that action should have been taken, and it hasn't been. So we'll deal with this in another way. But I do appreciate you at least looking at it, but I know that your hands are tied, and you can't really go in and, you can't sequester someone's pay or anything like that. I understand that, but at least the fact that people recognize that there is a problem, and that the problem hasn't been resolved, and that actually the people and the state system is poorly set up for oversight because it requires this system requires local people to oversee the system, but then that person has no local oversight, and there's no recourse. And actually, in my opinion, my interactions with the state has been that the state spends more time protecting these individuals than it actually does doing anything to rectify the situation. And I just think that the taxpayers are the ones taking it on the chin, because they're paying, this money's being paid out of taxpayer money throughout the state of Tennessee and locally. And this is this goes on. And, anybody who works in that office over there knows this has been going on. So this isn't something. This isn't just something that just started happening. This is an individual taking advantage of a situation that is, in my opinion, reprehensible. You do your work, you get paid for it. You don't do your work, you don't get paid for it. I mean, everybody gets a trophy deal. Those days should be long gone. But this is not over. There's a lot more to this. But I do appreciate, and I think the people that understand what's going on also appreciate y'all took a look at it.
And let me say, Dan, to you, you put a lot of work into this. I understand that. And what we want to do is make sure this will be shared with the chair of that team over there. Mm-hmm. And they, once they do have this, I'm sure there'll be dialogue internally within the staff. All of us know how important election commission is. We know now. We know it's vested. It's vested with the state to be looking at the items that you shared. So that's going to go. That will go to them. And I think they're eager to get into it. Many of the people on there. They're reputable folks. They want to do the right things. They're placed by the state to take a look at these concerns. That's what's going to happen.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that I think sometimes maybe, I hope that they do recognize that that's really not a team. They're that office's oversight. So when you change your perspective that this is not, we're not to oversight, we're to protect, then the system is skewed and there's a big problem. And that's, maybe this action will cause a change in that opinion.
If you played football, Dan, were you a football player? The team has a guy like me that runs, and you're the guy that blocks for me. So what we've got a team. Yeah, or tackles me. Yeah. If we have a team there, that team is looking forward to not just protecting the individual you're talking about here, but blocking to make sure that there's no future problems that would be like these. So that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping happens.
Of course, the team always have oversight by the coach.
That's true too. Ask Saban. Any further comments or discussion? Yeah.
I know a couple of weeks ago we had a gentleman that came in.
Yes.
And he was talking about the river, the way the river ran. And every time I try to push this behind me, it steps up in front of my face and slaps me again. So biosolids. It was in the news just the other night, January the 10th. It was in the news that they had actually checked the water coming in where the treatment plant is in one of the rivers in northeast Tennessee. And when it came in, the water was fine. And when it went through the treatment plant, it came out, they found PFAS, which is forever chemicals, plastics, and stuff like that. And so I got to looking up a little bit more on it. In Missouri, there's a county in Missouri that has actually stopped Denali from putting their fertilizer on the ground out there. And they said if for every ton that they find there, they're going to find them $10,000 for every ton. They need to get it out of their state or out of that county anyway. And I've got where the Missouri House of Representatives has, if anybody needs to see it, make a copy, you can have it, whatever. But I do think we need to put this on the agenda to send the governor a letter. And I know we want to send it through other things and other ways of getting there. But I think that the governor needs to know. I think he needs to go to him, and I'm sure the postmans will deliver it, whatever, whoever you're going to send it with. But a friend of mine told me, he said, Scotty, just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. So I tried to understand that, and that was a good idea until the car in front of me stopped. And it parked. And it won't go nowhere. I have to go around that car to keep going. So I'm trying to stay in my lane. I stay in my lane. But the residents up there, they want them to cease putting the fertilizer out. And it showed pictures of it. And man, it looked like the Garden of Eden. The grass was so green where they put these fertilizers. The grass was growing better than the regular fertilizer. And they said, well, we give it to them. We don't charge them for it. They can just have it. Well, there's a reason for that, too. Like if I give you a donut and you taste it and you say, man, that donut's dry. It ain't no good. Am I going to say you want your money back? No, I give it to you. You just do what you want to with it. You don't owe me nothing. I don't owe you nothing. That's why they give stuff away. And so I'd like for us to really look into it. This is a Missouri House of Representative actually sent their governor a bill, and the judge shut them down.
So is that happening in Bradley County? Is that what you're talking about?
We are getting biosolids put in our dump, 12,000 tons of biosolids.
You're talking about the sludge.
Yes, that's what biosolids
So
are.
you're wanting us to send a letter to the governor saying we don't want.
I want them to send a letter to them saying, come on, let's look at this. Let's take samples of it, see what's in it. Let's find out what's going in the dump.
Crystal? I mean, is that, we accept it, right?
Yes, our contract, does with, our contract with, originally with Santec Now Republic does not differentiate on the tonnage with regard to what it can or cannot be. So there's nothing that allows us to prevent sludge, because that is one of the, as long as they go through the process with TDEC and get the permits and all that. So our contract does allow the sludge to be brought in. We've kind of been around that several different times. And we do have somewhat of an agreement, I think, about it. But yes, they are allowed to bring in sludge if they get it permitted properly. Yes.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
So in essence, and like you said, we've been through this and we've chatted with Republic and all those. If we were to send a letter to the governor, I wouldn't be surprised if the governor or his staff would say, Bradley County Commission, you agreed to this. And we did. So our battle, if you want to call it that, is to try to get Republic and their representatives at the negotiating table to renegotiate this contract. I mean, I'm all for that the governor and his people and those people are aware, and they are, because we've chatted with TDEC. We've had them here a couple of times. They monitor and all that kind of stuff. But the battle, again, is here with this commission and the representatives from Republic. I would love for them to come to the table and negotiate. But so far, they haven't chosen to do that, to the best of my knowledge. And I know we formally have asked them twice.
That's correct. Yeah, my understanding as we sit today is that there is unwillingness on the side of Republic to do any sort of negotiating.
What the gentleman told me that day was they are happy with the terms that we are under right now. And the only way, correct me if I'm wrong, just for the quote-unquote get out of the contract is the ending of the contract is the life of the landfill, which is determined by the state.
Yes, that is the natural end of the contract. Of course, any contract, if there's a material breach, you can certainly end a contract based on material breach. But to this point,
there hasn't been one.
I'm not aware of any basis that we would have that there would be a material breach of the contract.
Commissioner Hughes.
In my judgment, we're putting the horse before the cart. One, and nowhere in that he read did I hear that they were talking about our landfill and our contract done by state law. Biosolids are used more than just going into our landfill. They also put them on fields to grow grass, hay, what have you. And I believe what I understood him reading hit more on that than it did our landfill, but that's beside the point. I agree with you. I agree. I don't know that it's good to put it on a field that can run into our water source at all. I look at contamination. You know, we had what, orange water or green, something bad about our water for a while. They found it was algae. Who knows where it came from?
Chair.
Sure.
the one thing that I had read that this county could actually agreed to take biosolids, and it took them getting a lawyer to come forth, and the judge is the one that passed that, said that they had to have it out of the county. They had to move it on out of the county. You can read on it. It's in the internet. But like I say, you can take this. I just don't. When this dump's over, and they go to hand us the key back, I don't want us to say, "Hey, here's what happened, y'all. Here's your key. Go fix your problem." You know, I don't want them to hand us the key, and here we got all this crap in our dump that's running in our water system. Now I spoke on the dump. But the dump wasn't what I was talking about.
Right.
Just like Mr. Hughes said. It's going in our waters. They're finding it every day. It's on the news. They're catching it coming out of the waters, coming out of the treatment plant. I have no problem with fertilizer, period.
We could move this forward to the commission for dialogue in the next session, and bring this up from your committee report,
Something needs to be
and
done.
hit it to discuss with Republic one more time what the details, particularly the details you're presenting.
Thank you.
Would that be consensus for us to move this to the commission yet? Okay, yeah.
We have a landfill committee, we could always send it there first.
Well,
Like
let's
I
do
said, I'd like to read the law more myself. I
Okay.
don't
Well, let's,
personally see where it affects the landfill itself.
you want to move that to the committee?
I believe that'd be the best place for it to be heard at from this point, especially if we're gonna bring Republic in talking about it.
Good point.
So
You
that would give them an opportunity without having to come before the full commission.
make a motion for
So I'll make that motion, send it to the
Okay.
committee, and
Mr. Slater. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you. Good point. Other pertinent information? Going once, going twice, so